Welcome to our latest news update. Today we'll be discussing some of the most pressing issues from around the world. First up,
Russia has accused Ukraine of using Storm Shadow missiles from Britain to attack Luhansk. In other news,
Jameson has stopped exporting to Russia after facing criticism. Meanwhile,
Twitter has blocked content in Turkey just one day before the national election. Additionally,
meteorologists are being targeted in a surge of climate misinformation. On the political front,
the Italian Prime Minister has expressed confidence in Ukraine's victory. Finally,
Spain is facing a severe drought and is running out of water. With so much happening around the world, let's get started. Russia's defense ministry has claimed that Ukrainian aircraft used Storm Shadow long-range cruise missiles supplied by Britain to strike two industrial sites in the Russian-held city of Luhansk in eastern Ukraine.
Reuters has not been able to verify these reports from the battlefield.
Britain recently announced that it had started supplying Kyiv with long-range cruise missiles, which could be used to hit Russian troops in supply dumps far behind the front lines.
British Defense Minister Ben Wallace stated that the missiles could be used within Ukrainian territory, but not to attack targets inside Russia's internationally accepted borders.
The Russian ministry alleges that the missiles hit a plant producing polymers and a meat processing factory in Luhansk on Friday, contrary to London's statements that the weapons would not be used against civilian targets. The ministry also claimed that Russia had downed two Ukrainian warplanes that had launched the missiles, and that Russian forces had gained control over another block in the eastern city of Bakhmut. Well, it looks like Russia won't be getting any more Jameson to drown their sorrows after accusing Ukraine of using British missiles. Maybe they should try some tea instead.
Pernod Ricard, the parent company of Jameson whiskey, has stopped exporting the product to Russia due to the ongoing conflict in Ukraine. The decision was made after pressure from the Ukrainian community in Ireland, who had been calling for a boycott of the whiskey. The Ukrainian ambassador to Ireland had previously stated that it was a matter of morality for Irish pubs and restaurants to decide whether to continue buying Jameson.
Pernod Ricard also announced that it will cease the distribution of its portfolio in Russia, a process that will take several months to complete. The company stated that it was assessing how to adapt its local organization in light of these decisions while complying with local legal regulations. A Fine Gael senator had previously criticized the company for selling Jameson bottles in Russia this month, calling for Pernod Ricard to be added to the EU sanctions list. Well, it looks like Jameson won't be toasting to any Russian victories anytime soon. And speaking of things getting blocked, Twitter is making sure Turkey's election doesn't go viral. Twitter has announced that it will block some content in Turkey ahead of the country's presidential election on Sunday.
The social media company did not specify which tweets would be blocked or who made the request.
Current President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has previously blocked Twitter across all of Turkey.
Twitter's global government affairs account stated that the content would remain available in the rest of the world. Twitter CEO Elon Musk defended the censorship in a tweet to commentator Matt Iglesias.
Human Rights Watch urged social media platforms to be more transparent about content moderation, stating that the integrity of Turkey's election depends on it. Well, it looks like Twitter isn't the only one blocking content. Apparently, Mother Nature is also trying to silence the meteorologists with a surge of climate misinformation. Meteorologists are facing threats, insults, and slander from conspiracy theorists and climate change deniers who accuse them of faking or fixing the weather. Users on social media have falsely accused weather agencies of engineering droughts, doctoring thermometers, and exaggerating global warming through misplaced weather stations.
Climate change denial has increased, particularly among far-right supporters who see it as a leftist cause and oppose reforms aimed at curbing its impacts.
In Spain, the state meteorological agency, IMET, spoke out after its members were threatened in Twitter messages, phone calls, and emails. In Australia, conservative media and Facebook users shared unfounded claims that the Bureau of Meteorology, BOM, doctored its temperature readings.
In France, a critic on social media published a thread alleging that the country's National Weather Service overstated warming by relying on readings from stations in urban districts, which was debunked by climatologists.
Well, it looks like the meteorologists might need to brush up on their climate facts before they predict Italy's chances of winning the World Cup. Speaking of confidence, the Italian Prime Minister is feeling pretty good about Ukraine's victory. Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni expressed confidence in Ukraine's victory in the war against Russia after talks with President Volodymyr Zelensky.
Meloni stated that the future of Ukraine is the future of peace and freedom, and there are no other possible solutions.
She noted that Rome will continue to work with allies to provide military support to Ukraine.
Meloni emphasized that peace cannot be achieved with defeat or surrender of Ukraine's territories, as it would be dangerous for peace in Europe and a precedent for the world. Italy is ready to provide all possible assistance when Kyiv deems it necessary to start peace negotiations with Russia, and supports Zelensky's 10-point peace formula. Zelensky is scheduled to meet with the Pope in the Vatican and travel to Germany for several meetings, including with Chancellor Olaf Scholz. From Italy's confidence in Ukraine to Spain's drought-stricken despair, it seems the only thing flowing these days is the news. Spain is facing a water shortage crisis due to a long-term drought and an early heat wave.
The situation is particularly alarming in the regions of Catalonia and Andalusia, where water reservoirs are at less than 25% of their capacity.
Spanish farmers are among the first to suffer the consequences of the water shortage, with 60% of non-irrigated cereal crops affected. Environmentalists say that Spanish farming practices are part of the problem, with the sector accounting for 80% of the country's freshwater consumption.
Spain has installed hundreds of dams and water diversion systems since the 1950s, but this infrastructure has led to a state of hydric stress and is no longer sustainable.
Climate change and overexploitation of groundwater are accelerating the desertification of Spain, and it is essential to learn how to manage water resources more effectively.